Hey guys, Andy from WagerTalk.com here to break down every fight from UFC 294, the card that generations will be talking about. I don't know if it's going to be that exciting, but it does look awesome. So very excited about this card. We'll break down every fight. Give me a like, and I've decided we're going to run a free contest with a guaranteed winner. We ran it a few weeks ago. Nobody won. So here's what we're going to do. In the comments section, tell me your favorite fighter and how many significant strikes they're going to have. Whoever's closest wins. You get a free prize on me, nice little care package. All you got to do, tell me in the comment section who's your favorite fighter and how many significant strikes they're going to have. I will use the UFC.com stats to determine the winner, but we will for sure, guaranteed, have a winner. So put it in the comment section, hit the like button, and we've got a really good promo code coming up to get my 5% UFC play. I did not have very many picks last week on the video. I said I didn't like a lot of the fights. I'm glad I kept it very, very low volume. I just used a couple pieces and some cross-sport parlays. But this week's card I love. I have a 5% play up. Tells you how much I love it. We're on a 14-7 run in MMA, and that doesn't even count some of the cross-sport parlays that we've won on our UFC picks. So let's get into it. First fight, Bruno Silva versus someone that some of you may not be familiar with, Sharabutdin. And I did this test with a couple people. Like, what do you think of when you see the name Magomedov, 11-0, fighting out of Russia? And they all kind of said the same thing. Like, oh, this guy's probably really good, probably going to wrestle and, take down to the ground. And that's not what this guy does. This guy does not wrestle. What does he do? He throws a million kicks to the body, to the legs. Like, it would not surprise me if he threw more kicks than punches in this one. Seriously, if you go watch this guy's fight, it's just a nonstop attack to your legs and to your body. And he's fought some of his fights you can't find. I worry about his level of competition here. You see these, he knockout, but I couldn't even find this fight. 8 seconds into round one. This was a decision win. That was a pretty good one. But again, tons of kicks. And wins with knees. So you're seeing the use of those legs here. And I got to be honest, I think Bruno Silva is absolutely a live dog in this one. The odds are plus 165. I think the more and more people look in this fight, they might see that Bruno Silva is a live dog. And here's why I see that. Let's take a look at Bruno Silva. So, okay, he's lost 3 out of 4, but look who he's lost to. So he loses to Brendan Allen by submission, and that's not what this opponent does. He wins and gets a knockout against Brad Tavares, who stands and bangs. He loses against Gerald Meerschaert, who goes for submissions. That's not what his opponent does. Loses to Alex Pereira, no shame in that. But then Jordan Wright gets a knockout on the feet. Andrew Sanchez, knockout on the feet. Wellington Turman, knockout on the feet. So I know it's not the best competition, but look who Bruno Silva's losing to. He's losing to these guys that, have really submitted him, and then he lost to Pereira. He even took Pereira to decision. I don't think these odds match up here. There is no way I would lay minus 200 on Magomed. I think Bruno Silva is going he's going to have to navigate the kicks. If he can weather the storm and not get damage to the body, I think he's absolutely going to be able to tee off on Magomedov. So I would stay out of this one for parlays. I can't tell you over or under on this one because I could see it going the distance, or I could see a quick knockout in the first round. But I will tell you, Bruno Silva is absolutely a live dog. I would stay away from the big favorite in this one. So it's kind of a stay away. Really, I don't think I'll have money on it. It certainly won't make my official card at Wager Talk. But do not be surprised if Bruno Silva pulls off the upset against the undefeated Magomedov. The other thing about Magomedov that I do want to add, he's 29. And he's fought kind of these relatively unknown guys, at least to some UFC fans. The track record of these Magomedovs coming over that are closer or in their 30s has not been great, especially on Contender Series. We saw a couple lackluster performances. One guy even lost. So I'm just a little worried that people may be overinflating the name Magomedov, especially when these guys are in their 30s and making their UFC debut. So proceed with caution on that one. Jinyu Frey and Victoria Dudakova. I love Dudakova. She just doesn't know it yet. No, I'm kidding. So I love her style of fighting. She is 7-0 We definitely bet on her in her last fight, and it was over. I mean, within 34 seconds, Nunez dislocates her elbow, and I was bummed because I wanted to see a lot more of her in a UFC fight. She put on a really good performance against Maria Silva. She used her striking to get the takedowns, and when she gets a takedown, she's very good at keeping her opponent down. She's not like complete lay and pray. She's not boring, but she will hold the opponent down and work ground and pound. So I had her to beat Estela Nunez. Of course, we have the dislocated elbow here, but I still think that she would have won that fight, and I'm taking her to win this pretty confidently. I mean, Frey, 38 years old and has not looked good. I mean, when you lose a decision to Elise Reed on the feet, yikes. She got absolutely floored by Polyana Viana, and then lost a split decision to Vanessa Demopoulos. Who doesn't lose a split decision to Demopoulos these days, right? So listen, she's lost, 5 out of 7 in the UFC. She's getting up there in age, and I think this is a really good showcase fight for Victoria Dudakova. I don't think you have to overthink this one. Pretty good parlay piece, as it's like minus 400, but I do have a lot of confidence that she's going to win. Nathaniel Wood and Muhammad Naimov. So I like Nathaniel Wood to win this fight. I was very confident, and then I talked to a UFC betting friend of mine, and he brought up something that gave me just a little bit of pause, and I think he's right on this one. So what I like about Nathaniel Wood is, I mean, he's very, very tough, and I love those leg kicks of his, and I think he's going to work those leg kicks really, really good. But Nathaniel Wood, he can get popped. He can get hit on the feet. Andre Fili kind of let him off a little bit easier when I thought Fili had him in a bit of trouble in the first round. And that is not really what Naimov does. So we're looking at Muhammad Naimov. So this win against Jamie Mullarkey was very, very strange. So he takes a fight on utmost of short notice. And Mullarkey does what Mullarkey does, which is screw around and not go for the kill. And he was beating Mullarkey. Mullarkey was beating Naimov. Naimov hits him in the face once. It goes down, and the ref just jumps in and stops it. Like, completely premature, I thought. But I thought Naimov showed pretty good toughness because he still had the power in round 2 to land a knockout blow, even though it was to Jamie Mullarkey. And I think with a full camp, and I think with time to recover from that Mullarkey fight, I think he's going to be in pretty good spirits and pretty good shape to be ready for Nathaniel Wood. And when we look at both of these guys, so Nathaniel Wood, his last 3 wins have all gone to decision. So this is a Nathaniel Wood that isn't knocking guys out. So, it's going to be a lot of leg kicks from Wood. It's going to be setting up the boxing. And then you look at Nathaniel Wood, his last loss was a decision. And before that, he has another decision win. So, in the last 3 years, this guy has gone to decision. And I wonder if that is going to leave the door open for Naimov, because he does have a lot of wins by knockout. Some of these wins are a little bit questionable, but he does have power. I think the overall technique of Wood is just going to pull away. But do I give Naimov a puncher's chance? Absolutely, I do. He's going to have to land it early, because if we all know Nathaniel Wood, he's going to land a bunch of leg kicks, and those leg kicks will absolutely zap the power out of Naimov. So proceed with caution. I do like Nathaniel Wood to win, but I respect the opinion of who I talked to that said be careful about the power of Naimov. He's got power throughout the fight, and Nathaniel Wood can get hit. So not a super confident play, but I do think Wood pulls it out. Guys, I do want to tell you here real quick, we've got a promo code that you can use on wagertalk.com. It's a 7-day pass for this week. It's a week before UFC 294. Use the promo code 7PASS. That's 7PASS. And it gets you 7 days for $69. And why is that important? Well, it's important because it includes all sports and includes 5% play. And we have a 5% play up on this one. So here, I'll make a little graphic here. Promo code. I should be better at this. There we go. Promo code 7PASS. It gets you 7 days for $69. We are 2-0 in the early NHL season. We are 6-1 in college football. So all sports are going really well. So encourage everyone to use the promo code 7PASS. Get you $69 for 7 days. Let's get back into these fights here. And Anshul Jubli is coming off of the road to UFC, and he's fighting poor Mike Breeden. We'll start with Mike Breeden. So Mike Breeden, 10-6, but not going well in the UFC. So gets brutally knocked out by Alex Hernandez. He give him credit. He made it to decision with Natan Levy. Now he got beat up pretty bad in that fight, and then he comes out against Terrence McKinney, and he looked so scared, and he got absolutely rocked, and Terrence McKinney knocked him out early. So I just don't think he's very good. I don't see the upside. I don't see where his potential is. This will probably be his fourth loss. I like Jubli. He's 7-0, and this guy's very marketable to the UFC. I mean, this guy coming from the region that he is can pull in a lot of fans that the UFC would love to tap into. And, he wins the split decision, and then UFC Fight Night. Really nice ground and pound against Yahya here. I like that he can win on the feet and he can win on the mat. And I think his best path to victory is probably the wrestling. Take him down and get the ground and pound, although I think he can knock out Mike Breeden. My one concern would be Breeden may have a little bit of confidence and a nothing to lose thing on the feet with Jubli. Jubli's probably not as scary as Terrence McKinney. And I just think that the wrestling is going to be too much for Breeden. We really haven't seen Breeden's cardio look great, especially in that Natan Levy and in the other fights. The fight's over so soon. So I like Jubli pretty confidently. I think he wins, and I think this is going to be. I think it's going to be quite a few wins in a row for Jubli to start his UFC career. I don't think UFC wants to have him losing. I think they want to build him up, build the fan base, because there's a lot of people that the UFC can tap into, and that's a really, really we'll just say financially good market for the UFC if they can tap into it. So Mike Breeden, unfortunately, I think is one of the worst fighters on this card, and I think he loses. Sedriques Dumas and Abu Azaitar. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why anyone would lay minus 170 on Sedriques Dumas. I just can't. I guess I get it because of Abu Azaitar and his complete lack of not fighting. So I mean, he goes from 2016 to 2018. He fights, Vitor Miranda wins. Then we don't see him until 2021, where he gets knocked out by Andre Barrial. I mean, 4 seconds left in the fight. Azaitar was good in the first round, started to fade. Barrial get on top of him and beat him up pretty good on the ground. And then we don't see him here for a while. So I don't know what this guy's been doing, but I got to tell you, I'm not doing this anymore where these guys haven't fought in a year and a half or 2 years, and then we just say, well, he's out of it. For all we know, this guy could be training, working hard, and he comes back and he looks really good. And I got to tell you, if there's a guy that you can look good against, it's Sedriques Dumas. I don't buy into this guy at all. This 8-1 victory is about as fraudulent as it gets. Okay, he gets the guillotine choke against Matej Penhas on Contender Series. Awesome. Loses to Josh Fremd, which is not a good look. And then beats Cody Brundage when Cody Brundage literally did not fight. Did not try and fight. And somehow Dumas couldn't even finish him. This decision win is about as bad as a decision win as it gets. Brundage, legit did not want to fight. This is a theme with Brundage where he doesn't want to fight. He signs up to fight, and then he just doesn't fight. So I'm not impressed with Dumas's skill set. His ground game looks sloppy against Brundage. Obviously, it looks sloppy against Fremd because he lost. And Azaitar, man, he can push you up against the fence. He can clinch. Don't know what his cardio looks like these days. The ring rust may be a little bit worrisome, but I'm just telling you right now, there's no way I'm laying a minus 170 on Dumas. No chance. So give me a little sprinkle on Azaitar just because the line value is so good. It's just a very strange number on Sedriques Dumas. Javid, Basharat, and Victor Henry. Do not overthink this fight. Just take it to go the distance. That's all you need to do. There's your parlay piece. You don't even really need to worry about who wins, even though I think Javid Basharat squeaks out the victory. Neither one of these guys are going to finish the other. So we take a look at Javid Basharat, who I'm very high on, 14-0. I know, great call by me. I'm very high on the guy that's 14-0. But I like his style of victory. He's very cerebral in the first round, reads his opponent. I love that he out wrestled Tony Gravely. I mean, he fought Mateus Mendonca, and then I was so disappointed by how Mendonca looked after his next fight. I don't know what happened, but it feels like the second fight for these guys, like coming off of Contender Series or these short notice, if they perform well in their first fight, there's just a big drop in the second fight. I don't know, but it was a good victory for him. You know, he's very fast on his feet. He likes using his strikes at distance, and then he works a takedown, and he's good on the ground. He's not like finish you on the ground, not in the UFC, but you know, he is good. So Victor Henry, very similar skill sets to Javid Basharat in that, very quick on the feet, but he's just not going to knock out or submit like really good opponents. I mean, Barcelos, that was a really good win. He was like a plus 450 underdog. Loses a decision to Rafael Asuncao, excuse me, guys. And then split decisions against Gravely. So I don't even care about who wins this fight. I just know it's going the distance. So that's all I'm going to do with this fight. I lean Javid Basharat, but this price at minus 425 is pretty steep. So wait till the props come out. Take that fight to go the distance. That's one of my favorite plays on this card. Yahya against Trevor Peek. I mean, this comes down to, can Yahya survive the early onslaught of Trevor Peek? I don't know if Trevor Peek is going to be more patient than he has been in previous fights. My guess is no. So expect Trevor Peek to come out, swing for the fences, try and literally kill Muhammad Yahya. and then if Trevor Peek tires out, maybe Yahya can pull away. I didn't like what I saw from Yahya. I'm just not that impressed with him. He just doesn't seem that powerful. He just doesn't seem that tough. And when we look at Trevor Peek's last opponent in Chepi Mariscal, that was kind of the worst case scenario for Trevor Peek, was a guy who can eat shots. And I just don't think this Yahya can eat shots, and I don't think he can give out the punishment needed to slow Peek down early, because you gotta keep Peek at bay. You can't let him come forward. So he's fought in UAE, I believe, for the last 4 years. So he's amassed a pretty good record. He's fought some guys with decent records. So I'm not saying he's not good, but I will say in his last fight, he did tire just a little bit, which I didn't think was a great look, because I just think you need to be. Trevor Peek's a dog, man. He's going to come full force and going to swing 1,000,000 miles an hour. So, I mean, it was a 5-round fight, and Yahya was just absolutely exhausted in the 4th and 5th round, but he was even getting tired in the 3rd round. So, I don't think he's going to get there, and I think Peek is going to win. And honestly, if you're betting Trevor Peek, it's probably inside the distance here. So, like I said, tons of finishes, and then he runs up against his worst nightmare, which is a guy that will eat punches all day, will go toe-to-toe with him, and just has a little bit better cardio. And that's what Mariscal did. He just took everything Trevor Peek could give him. He gave Peek back some, and then by the middle of the 2nd round, you could tell Peek's energy was gone, and he was done. So I think Peek gets back on the winning ways. It's even money. I just don't see Peek winning by decision. If you're going to take Peek, just take him to win by inside the distance. So to get yourself a better price, I just don't see how Trevor Peek's going to last 3 rounds and win a victory by the judges' scorecard. So Yahya's a pretty good fighter. I just think the style of Peek matches up pretty bad against him. So I want to remind you guys, promo code 7PASS gets you $69 for 7 days, and it gets you all 5% plays. We definitely have a 5% play already up for this particular card, UFC 294. Go ahead and redeem that at wagertalk.com. We're having a really good year. We're well over 100 units for the year, and we're on a 14-7 UFC run that doesn't count the cross-sport parlays that we've cashed into. So use the promo code, and let's keep the winning ways going. Tim Elliott, Muhammad Mokaev. I just can't bet on Muhammad Mokaev. This guy just is not that. He's just underwhelming. Wins by armbar in round 3 against Malcolm Gordon. That fight should have been over before then. Against Charles Johnson, decision, that didn't look that great. And, okay, Cody Durden, that was a good win. But then against Jafel Filo, he almost got his leg broke. He partially tore his MCL. And he does get the win, but the fact is, Filo took that on short notice and almost beat him. He does what it takes to win, and I just think that's really, really dangerous. And I think it's really dangerous against somebody like Tim Elliott. I like where Tim Elliott is at in life right now. He had a lot of issues personally. It seems like that's behind him. He talked about how much he loves his new gym. And we saw that in his last fight. That was a really good scrap against Victor Altamirano. And he controlled the fight on the ground. He did not get tired. And his win against Olenbekov was really good as well. I just kind of like where Tim Elliott is. And this just seems like the kind of guy that beats Mokaev when Mokaev is like not taking the fight super serious. This coming off of a leg injury as well that he suffered in a fight. So I think the value is on Tim Elliott here. I like if Mokaev gets him on the ground, don't be surprised if Elliott reverses. If Mokaev gets a little sloppy, I don't think Mokaev's going to be able to submit Tim Elliott. Now, if Mokaev is dialed in and this is just like the new laser focus Mokaev, yeah, forget about it. He's got all the talent in the world. But when you're just a little bit sloppy, I am not laying minus 500. No shot. Not against somebody like Tim Elliott. Like, I could see this being a classic 1-1 where Mokaev looks amazing in round 1, sleepwalks through round 2, Tim Elliott sneaks it out, and then all of a sudden Tim Elliott gets a takedown or reverses something on the ground with halfway to go through round 3, and then if you bet on Mokaev, you're just terrified because the lines closed at even and you got a split decision on your hands. So Tim Elliott's a live dog in this one. This is a stay away, and I just want nothing to do with Mokaev, which is so strange because he's undefeated, and yet I'm just scared to bet on him every single time. That first loss is coming. It's coming. Maybe it's the Tim Elliott. So, all right. We'll remind you guys, free contest in the comment section. Post your favorite fighter and how many significant strikes they will have the closest wins. Whoever wins, I'll reach out to you and send you your care package. We're going to have a guaranteed winner on this contest. I promise there's a winner. Unless nobody puts something in the comment section, which then that'll be the worst contest ever. But somebody's going to put something in there. And if you're the only one that puts something in there, then you automatically win. So how about that? All right, next fight. Saeed Nurmagomedov against Muin Gafurov. So I'm confused on this one. I don't get the line. I don't get the line at all. So let's start with Gafurov. 18-5. Okay, that sounds good. Except we see he loses on Contender Series in 2021. Okay, great. He goes into LFA and wins. And then he comes and he loses to John Castaneda. You lose a Contender Series and you lose to John Castaneda by decision, and now you're like only minus 170 against Saeed Nurmagomedov. I don't get the line. I think Nurmagomedov should be a much higher favorite. Excuse me. This fight that he lost to Jonathan Martinez, he dominates round 1, and then Martinez just shows, what an absolute dog he is, and gets rounds 2 and 3. And I just thought it was a really, really good-looking fight for Jonathan Martinez. I didn't think Nurmagomedov looked bad. It was just like Martinez just had a little bit more left at the end of the fight. This fight, he was losing against Kakramanov. He was losing it, pulls out the guillotine choke kind of out of nowhere, but it was such a slick submission. And then, wins against Douglas Andrade, Cody Stamann. So guys lost against Rayone Barcelos when Barcelos was a little bit more in his prime. So I really like Saeed Nurmagomedov here. He's got this unique striking that Gafurov is just not going to be ready for. I don't know. I don't see the upside on Gafurov. I think Saeed rolls in this one, and I do not understand the line. That's actually the thing that confuses me is like you're not going to be that big of a favorite just because you lost a close decision to Jonathan Martinez, who just destroyed Adrian Yanez. I don't know. Line doesn't make sense. I'm gonna stick with my opinion. I think Saeed wins, but I'm definitely confused by the line in that one. Ikram Aliskerov versus Warlley Ives. I think most people would say that this is a walk in the park for Aliskerov, and I get it. I'm not that convinced that this minus 400 is an accurate line. So Alves, he comes back. I'll pull this up. I mean, what he did to Mounir Lazzez was crazy. He comes back, and if you watch that fight, you're like, my God, this Warlley Alves, he must be the best fighter in the world. Nope. Gets knocked out by Jeremiah Wells, loses a split decision to Dalby. That's what Dalby does. He just takes you into deep waters and somehow wins a decision. And, Aliskerov, we look at him, 14-1. Obviously, he got a great record. And coming off wins against Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes is a shot fighter, so he did what he should do, which is knock him out. On Contender Series, wins, gets Kimura in the first round against a good opponent. Did what he was supposed to do. It is amazing. I mean, look at this loss. How crazy is this loss? Khamzat Chimaev, now they're fighting on the same card, just a couple fights apart. I don't know. I can't bring myself to lay minus 400 on this because I think Alves, I just don't know if we've seen enough in Aliskerov in the UFC to see how he can compete against somebody like Alves. Because I think Warlley's can keep it a little bit close. Aliskerov definitely has better power, and maybe I might look silly on this one, but I just want to see a little bit more from Aliskerov rather than knocking out Phil Hawes, who's done, and getting a Kimura. So maybe I look foolish and Aliskerov wins this thing really, really quick, but I'm a little nervous about this fight. I don't know why. Call it a gut feeling or whatever, but I'm not betting on it at all. So I don't have an opinion on the over-under. I don't have an opinion on the side. Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. I actually really like the over in this one. I think this one goes the distance. Ankalaev, he's just really low volume. He's a minus 350 favorite. I guess I get it, but he can be hit on the feet. We've seen that. Jan Blachowicz bloodied him up and did a lot of damage to the legs in the first round, so we know he can be touched up. And then Ankalaev turns to his takedowns, and that fight ends up a draw. And it just feels like Ankalaev, he tries to stand on the feet to start with, and if it doesn't go good, he's like, well, then I'll go to the takedowns. It's like, well, why didn't you go to the takedown in round one? That's where you're best at. That's where your advantage is. But maybe he does that against Johnny Walker. But if he doesn't, I think Johnny Walker can touch him and piece him up. I really do. And, Johnny Walker, we talk about the chin of Johnny Walker, but you got to give him credit. He got knocked out, Jamal Hill, but he wins against Kudalaba, wins against Paul Craig, wins against Anthony Smith. And, the fact is, we talked about Johnny Walker's, chin, and, he got knocked out by Jamal Hill, but his loss to Krylov was a decision, and he did lose to Corey Anderson. But I don't know. It just looks like Johnny Walker's playing it a little bit more cautious, and the results are coming. Those are 3 pretty good wins. So the Kudalaba, in the first round, whatever, the Kudalaba's fight, never go the distance. Paul Craig, he did exactly what he was supposed to do, which is don't go on the ground with Paul Craig, although Paul Craig's striking has looked a lot better. Anthony Smith was kind of a strange fight. Not really sure why we needed that fight. I don't know why we need any Anthony Smith fights at this point. But the reason I like the over is I think Ankalaev throws very, very little volume, and I think Johnny Walker is going to just try and piece him up and not go for the kill shot, but just go for the damage. And if that happens, I think Ankalaev takes him down and just kind of lays on him and tries and land some things. So I think Johnny Walker's a live dog in this one. I didn't like the look of Ankalaev in some of those fights. I thought the draw was kind of a bad look for him with how bad that Jan was able to piece him up. The fact is, Ankalaev won the last 2 rounds, and this isn't a 5-round fight. So I guess ever so slightly into Ankalaev, but I think the real value is taking this fight to go the distance. I think you could be looking at some pretty low strike numbers, especially if it gets on the ground. I think you could see some guys really circling and picking their spots to throw a punch. So don't think it's a throw a bunch of haymakers type of fight. So I like the over in this one to go the distance. Well, Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. I will make this short and sweet. I think Chimaev rolls here. Usman spent so much time and energy at the top. I just can't imagine how hard it is for someone like him to go through all of those fights that he went through and what it takes to be up at the top and how much wear and tear on your body and how much energy. And look what happens. He's cruising against Leon Edwards. One kick, and all of a sudden, he just looks like a different person. Loses somewhat convincingly, in my opinion, to Leon Edwards. I just wonder how much damage is on that body, if his knees are okay. I like Chimaev to just absolutely roll through Usman. Maybe Chimaev inside the distance if he gets it on the ground. I don't know if Chimaev's going to screw around and try and do a boxing match or here, whatever. But if you're Chimaev, you just like, listen, get this guy, take him to the ground, and try and finish him on the ground. I just think it's kind of over for Usman. And when we see these people that are at the top that hold the belt, no matter what division it is, you hold it for a long time. Boy, the second you lose, it just goes so quick. And I think that's what's happening with Usman here. Not sure he's going to be in the best shape with taking it short notice, but I'm sure he's in shape, but I don't think he's in shape to beat Chimaev here, so I like Chimaev to roll. Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski here. Before I give my pick on this one, before we wrap up, guys, go ahead and hit the like button, and don't forget to post in the comments section. Post your favorite fighter, how many significant strikes they will have. Closest will win. Free prize pack, and use the promo code 7PASS, that's 7PASS, get you 7 days for $69, including all 5% plays. We already have a 5% play up in the UFC, so it's a smoking deal. It'll get you our NFL plays. We're perfect to start the NHL season, 6-1 in college football to start the season, so use that promo code. It's a great deal. Makhachev and Volkanovski. Everyone wants an opinion on this one, and I will keep this one short and sweet. I have no idea who wins this fight. I have absolutely no idea. I am just going to sit back, relax, and watch what I think is going to be an incredible fight. I mean, Makhachev wins the first fight barely. You could say Volkanovski came out looking better in that fight. I just know I'm never going to bet against Volkanovski in a fight ever. And I'm never going to bet against Makhachev in a fight ever. These are two guys I just can't find an advantage on. So, loved the quote from Makhachev about, like, when you're a champion, you don't say no to a fight, you just fight. And I love Volkanovski. Yeah, hell yeah, I'll take it on short notice. Who am I fighting? Makhachev on 11 days? Absolutely, I'll take the fight. There's so many unknowns. I'm assuming Volkanovski is in perfectly fine fight shape. He knows exactly what he's going up against with Makhachev. And, Makhachev was planning for Oliveira. Wasn't planning for Volk. I don't know if that puts him at a disadvantage. I just know there are way too many good spots to make money on this card rather than this fight. I just think if you're betting on this fight, you're just trying to prove yourself right, and that's not what I do on these videos, and that's not what I do with my gambling career. I'm all about the profits, and if I see a fight that I don't think is advantageous to turn a profit, I don't bet it. And this is a fight that, as a fight fan, I just want to watch, and I don't want to bet any money on it. Go see all the other fights that I have given you picks on, because those are much better to make money. Should be a great fight, and I'm excited to be a part of it on our YouTube channel, Takedown Live. I will be live, and Jim will be there for part of it. So if you want to join us, we'll watch the fights live, give out some live in-fight wagers if we see good opportunities. That's the YouTube channel, Takedown Live. All right, guys, use that promo code, hit the like, and in the comments section, tell me your favorite fighter and how many significant strikes they will have, and we'll have a guaranteed winner for our free contest. Good luck on all your bets, everyone. I know this is a big card. Remember, don't overexpose yourself with too many bets. You can turn a profit with 1 or 2 bets and have a perfectly great, profitable evening. So make sure you're not overexposing yourself with too many units out there. Good luck. We'll see everyone next video.